What do you want? A better job, a better relationship, better health, fitness, beauty, money, freedom. Maybe you want to build something, leave something, find something, heal something, or finally become the person you have always sensed you could be. My superpower is seeing beneath the surface. I see patterns other people miss, sometimes long before I understand why I'm seeing them. And after decades of studying people, systems, psychology, philosophy, behavioral science, neuroscience, leadership, ancient teachings, spirituality, energy, and my own life, I can tell you with absolute certainty, the only way to change anything in your life is to first change yourself. Everything begins there. I'm beginning to understand that perhaps my role has always been to be a bridge between worlds, between science and spirituality, logic and intuition, what we can explain and what we can only experience, light and darkness, who you are today, and the person you can feel somewhere inside you waiting to emerge. Some things I have learned through study, some through experience, and some through a deeper relationship with God, Source, the divine, whatever name feels right to you, and through learning to trust the ways guidance sometimes arrives. That part of myself has taken me longer to say out loud. I experience the world in ways I haven't always known how to explain. I notice things, feel things, know things. I see connections between seemingly unrelated pieces and understand how they belong together. For a long time, I separated those ways of knowing from the more intellectual parts of myself. I don't anymore. Science belongs. Faith belongs. Intuition belongs. Experience belongs. So does mystery. All of it informs my work. And my work is alchemy, the transmutation and transformation. I am not particularly interested in transformation that only polishes the surface. I want to know what lives beneath. I want the hunger, the fear you don't say out loud, the wound beneath the behavior, the scars that have ripped open again and again, the dream you've almost convinced yourself you don't really want anymore, the pieces of yourself you buried because someone told you they were too much, too strange, too ambitious, too impractical, or too difficult for other people to understand. I want to go there. Maybe that's because I've spent enough of my own life in the darkness to know my way around. And I've learned there is extraordinary power hidden there. Being afraid of the darkness gives it power over you. Walking into it with enough courage and faith to see what is actually there changes your relationship with it. That is where transmutation becomes transformation. It's the phoenix. You don't become the phoenix by standing beside the fire. You must be willing to walk into it. There are seasons of life when everything we thought we were burns away. And just as it does in nature, eventually we discover that the fire was carrying the energy for whatever comes next. That is the work that interests me. Dark night of the soul work, the kind where, if necessary, I will walk into the darkness with you, throw you over my shoulders, and help carry you until you can find your footing again. And don't think for a minute I can't do it. I'm stronger than I look. But when you can walk, I'll put you down. I'll take your hand and I'll walk beside you. Because I've walked through the darkness enough times to know the way. And I won't let you walk it alone. But I can't be there every time. So eventually, you have to know how to walk on your own. That is where the frameworks come in. The foundation of everything I do is fish. It comes from the old saying, give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish and you feed him for a lifetime. My version is find, improve, sustain, help. Find your talents, improve your life, sustain the changes, help others. The order matters. 3 of those 4 words are centered around you. That is intentional. We hear so much about service, purpose, leadership, contribution, impact, generosity, and helping other people. And I believe deeply in all of those things. But you cannot continually pour from a life you have abandoned. There is a reason the flight attendant tells you to put on your own oxygen mask first. Fish begins with find. Find yourself. Find your talents, your gifts, your curiosity, your voice, your natural abilities, your strange little quirks, the things you notice that other people don't, the things you do so easily that you assume everyone can do them too. Find the pieces of yourself you left behind because they weren't practical. Find the dream you stopped talking about. Find the intuition you learned to ignore. Find the part of you that got quieter because fitting in became easier than being fully seen. Find the things that make you come alive. That is why self-discovery matters so much to me. You cannot consciously build a life around someone you haven't taken the time to know. Then comes improve. Once you begin discovering who you are, use what you find to make your own life better. Improve your health, your relationships, your finances, your confidence, your environment, your skills, your emotional life, your spiritual life, your work, your sense of purpose, your ability to receive, and your ability to create, and your capacity for joy. Learn, experiment, heal, build, explore, practice, change direction, try again. Follow curiosity somewhere unexpected. This is where transmutation begins to become tangible. Because you start taking energy already present in your life and giving it somewhere useful to go. Pain can become wisdom. Fear can become preparation. Anger can become boundaries. Rejection can become redirection. Loss can create a deeper capacity for compassion. A gift you once hid can become the thing that changes your life. Then comes sustain. This part matters because transformation is easy to romanticize when we focus only on breakthrough moments. Real change has to survive every day. It has to survive stress and exhaustion and disappointment in old patterns and the gravitational pull of the life you used to live. Sustain means building a life capable of supporting who you are becoming. You create habits, relationships, environments, practices, boundaries, systems, and rhythms that make the change durable. You learn how to recognize when you're drifting away from yourself and how to return. You keep adjusting because becoming is never really finished, like tuning a piano. And then something begins to happen. You have more of yourself available, more energy, more wisdom, more confidence, more skill, more resources, more love, more capacity. And only then does fish turn outward, help. Take what you have found, improved, sustained, learned, survived, created, healed, built, or been given, and use it to make someone else's life better. Maybe that's through leadership. Maybe it's art. Maybe it's a business. Maybe it's writing a book, raising a child, mentoring someone, changing a broken system, sharing what you learned, singing a song, creating opportunities, sitting beside someone in their darkness, or simply recognizing the look in another person's eyes because you've worn it yourself. This is the part I love most. Transmutation doesn't have to stop with you. What you transform within yourself becomes something you can carry into the world. And perhaps someone you help will take what they learned and carry it farther. That's why the old proverb has always meant so much to me. One fish changes a day. Learning to fish changes what becomes possible. And that is ultimately what I want to do. I don't want to hand people answers and make them dependent on me. I want to help them find themselves, improve their own lives, build something sustainable, and then turn around and help someone else. That is fish. And it begins with something we are sometimes taught to treat as selfish. Coming home to yourself. Becoming. Because before you can become a bridge for anyone else, you have to become strong enough to hold your own weight.